What is up?
What is up?
Here I go now.
Here I go into pretend hell.
That's a banger, though. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh wow. that riff kind of sounds like a meme going around at the minute. Have you seen that? And I'm not sure if it's over in America, but there's a meme at the minute over here of this cat that has the Scouse accent, the Scouser, the Liverpudlian accent, and when it meows, it goes.
We wouldn't get that joke over here.
Yeah, it's so funny. It came up the other day and said, "Why the fuck my cat got a Scouse accent?" And it goes.
No. Yeah, that wouldn't be a thing over here. My favorite thing right now happening with, because so much is going on in the country that, like, it's whenever something brings Americans together, it always makes my heart happy. And I truly enjoyed America coming together and saying, "Who the fuck cares about Robbie Williams?"
Yeah.
That was very fun to watch.
Inescapable growing up. I remember, like, every time you would walk past like a magazine section, he was on at least one magazine. I did my due diligence because, like, once I started seeing the trend go around of people like, fuck this movie and who the fuck is this? So I was like, I'm gonna go listen to like his top like 3 or 4 songs, and I'm like, not only did I not know any of them, I didn't like any of them. Like, nothing about them was good. Me entertain you. Where's Robbie Williams? What are you? Here he is.
Where are you, Robbie?
I believe in angels.
Yeah, none of it's good.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, I'll take a pop song that, like, immediately I go, there's a hook, and it's like, oh, okay, I get the energy in this. But this shit is just like, it's anyway.
I have a question.
Not the Robbie Williams episode. We'll do that later.
I have a question. Did you catch the new Wallace and Gromit?
No.
At Christmas? Okay, so whenever Wallace and Gromit drops a new one at Christmas, the nation comes together. It's one of those uniting things. Fucking hell, new Wallace and Gromit on Christmas Day. And the thing that stood out to me is that a bunch of Americans watched it and loved it, but there's one scene in there where are you familiar with the TV presenters Ant and Dec?
No.
Okay, so they're
maybe
on,
if I saw them, but I don't know them by name.
So they started out in a show called Biker Grove, and then eventually moved into being presenters. And they present everything from, like, Ant and Dec's late night, Saturday Night Takeaway. They're guests on Britain's Got Talent and stuff like that. They'll be like off to the side of the stage. What else are they in? Oh, they're like the main hosts of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. But
okay. I've obviously never seen that show, but I know the name.
So in this clip, they said, "Here's Ant and Dec with the news," and it turns to a guy that looks nothing like them, and that he's actually called Anton Dec, and it's like, just, it faked us out, but Americans wouldn't even catch it. But it's one of those uniquely British things. We're like, oh, they got us.
There are shows. Hello, everybody.
Oh yeah.
I got a comment on the last episode. Like, I love how they never say hello, everybody. I'm like, well, we do eventually say hello to everybody. We used to, but now we just let shit roll. Well, because the introductions are so odd to me.
Yeah,
like, it feels like I do them on my regular videos on YouTube, but it's like, it's always just me. Hello. I have to do it like 10 times because it's always me being really weird. Like, hello everyone. Oh wait, why did I say it like that?
Yeah.
But anyway, I see clips on the internet of shows that I like the format of these shows, and I wish they did them over here. But it's like I don't even know what the shows are called, but it's always like people are sitting kind of at a table or on a talk show, but it's multiple guests, and they're just having a conversation and and just making each other laugh, and like it's not like an interview. And I see like different versions of that from the UK where I'm just like, well, that seems like a way more fun take on like a talk show where it's literally not, oh, you've got 5 minutes to promote your movie and tell some story that we've pre-approved. Because I see like Richard Ayoade, is that how you say his name?
Richard Ayoade, yeah.
I'll see him on some of those and stuff like that. It's just always like really funny people who are just allowed to be funny, and there's no.
Do you mean like
premise.
all the panel shows and stuff like Mock the Week?
I don't even know what they are, but I'm just like I love the people that I think are funny. I don't want you to interview them like everybody else interviews them. Just put them on a show and even have them interact with each other.
Tell you the one I loved that me and my friends used to watch YouTube clips of all the time is Mock the Week, and they would get like umpteen British, iconic British comedians all together on this show, and they would just take the piss out of stuff that was going on like TV and the news and stuff. But they would have this thing called Scenes We'd Like to See, and it was basically they would put like a prompt up, and it would be like each comedian had a chance to like walk out and say the funniest thing. And one that sticks in my mind is things you wouldn't hear in an insurance advert. And one of them goes up is I'm saving Private Ryan money on his car insurance and things like that. No, that was things you wouldn't expect to hear in a war movie or something like that. Yeah.
Those are great, and American actors and comedians are on those too. I see them, and so I'm just like, well, clearly it's like an enjoyable format. One of them has that host that like, is it Graham Norton?
Graham Norton, yeah.
His stuff isn't. It's conversations. Like it doesn't seem like it's and they're able to go back and forth. And sometimes there's fucking Denzel Washington sitting next to some British comedian that I don't even know, but they're just on the same couch together. And I'm like, well, I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We have cornered the market a little bit on the panel show, as they're called. But now that I'm seeing so many of them all next to each other, I've just remembered just how many of these fucking shows there are over here. We've got Mock the Week, QI, Would I Lie to You, 8 out of 10 cats, 8 out of 10 cats, man. And specifically 8 out of 10 cats does Countdown. It was a genius merge of two shows. They took Countdown. Do you know what Countdown is? Do you have a Countdown show over there?
Countdown of what?
It's got the big clock, and like you have to like, it's kind of like Scrabble a little bit, but like,
I mean, I'm sure there's a version of it, but I've never really watched regular television over here. So.
Fair. So yeah, there's this show. If I was to walk into a room full of British people and go da-na-na, da-na-na, you would hear back da-na, da-na, da-na-na, boom. It's one of those cultural things where you would just walk into a room that it's like walking into a room and going 0800 00 1066, like those sorts of things.
Hold on. So Countdown is the thing in the IT crowd where he goes to the special club. And they do street countdown or something like that.
Yeah, it's got the big clock.
So it is okay. It's like a scratch. Okay, I get it. It's like almost like there's also like over here, Wheel of Fortune, where you have to like ask for letters and stuff like that. A vowel or a consonant or whatever. So yeah, I guess I know those, but I think over here. I would watch more regular TV if we had shows that were interesting like that. But over here, it just seems like, you've got all these panel shows. I think over here, it's just like housewives shows and stuff like that, which I'm not interested in watching at all. And I am very baffled that anybody does, but whatever.
Well, the thing I was getting to with the 8 out of 10 cats does countdown is that the regular countdown is pretty clean and pretty serious and doesn't take the piss too much and is just a general smart person game show basically.
Yeah, okay.
8 out of 10 cats does countdown, takes the jovial piss take vibe of the panel show and blends it with the game show, so you get like hilarious results basically.
Nice.
And
yeah. It's another one of those cases where the UK is just, better. I think we're pretty even with cool shit, but
yeah. Except for the weather lately, we had a fucking tornado.
Hey, we had a winter storm over here.
Yeah,
and I love it because other parts of Texas barely got any snow at all, but we got like several inches of snow.
I saw you sent me a video and it was crazy, and it's weird because Texas isn't known for that. So
nope.
When it does happen, we all remember a few years ago when it just crippled the infrastructure of the state.
And even then, usually when there's a winter storm, it's freezing rain, or if there's snow, it's just flurries. And by the next day, by the time you wake up in the morning, everything's already pretty much melted anyway. But this was stuff where I woke up in the morning, it was coming down like snow, like proper snow, and then the temperature that day didn't rise above 30 or something that day, or which is below freezing here. And so everything just stayed. We just had an entire day of the entire neighborhood being covered in snow, and I was just like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But we didn't lose power, so that's a plus too.
This is better than last time.
And then eventually we will get around to talking about music, folks, because this is cranked and ranked. But we also do we go off on tangents, and sometimes that tangent is right at the fucking beginning of the episode. So you're welcome.
I can think of plenty of shows that have like a huge email segment at the beginning before they get to the meat of the matter. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think we're doing good.
Speaking of that, let me read an email. I thank you for reminding me. I got an email through the Old Head Network website, oldheadnetwork.com. It's kind of like a one-stop shop for all my shit. You can just go there and you can find whatever you want, including Cranked and Ranked. But I have a contact section where people can send emails, and I got an email from Austin Wishart. I feel like we've gotten a message from him before, or I have. Anyway, I just wanted to read this because it says, "Hey, old head, hope you've been doing well. Was listening to the most recent episode and thought it was criminal that you and Edward Sparkington Esquire didn't mention the hit single Linkin Bark Numb." What? That's probably something from the episode that I don't remember.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Link at the end. There is a link to something. Anyway, easily a number one on any Linkin Park ranking. Anyways, beside that, just wanted to thank you and Eddie for all the amazing content. You guys have been there for me through law school. A fucking lawyer.
Wow.
Preparing.
I remember this. Yeah.
Preparing for a wedding, graduating school, and my first big kid legal gig, and soon to be my first kid joining us in the crazy world. So this guy is like going through these big things in his life, and we've been there. And that's crazy. That's pretty great. Much love. Keep doing what you're doing, and appreciate you dudes. Austin Wishart, Cincinnati, Ohio. When I read this, I didn't click this link, so I don't know what this is. Linkin Bark Numb.
Let me guess.
Okay. Linkin Bark.
Oh, that's
anyway,
great.
Thanks, Austin. That's fucking there's so many things about that email that makes me happy, and we've talked about this before. Not only do we love that we're able to add something of quality to your life or enjoyment or whatever, but when it's like people that have like legit like big boy jobs.
yeah.
And I'm mostly speaking for myself because I don't really have a big boy job, but I guess it's kind of a big boy job, but whatever. But lawyers,
yeah,
That's and and now I know, like, when I if we get into any legal trouble, I'm gonna call Austin and be like, hey dude, are you gonna represent me? Better call Saul. You gonna you gonna
Yeah.
come here and take care of us? Anyway, so yeah. But now we can talk about music. Because today is a special episode that we've only done one other time, and it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. So this is going to be kind of like a like 2 yearly thing. Which that's not biannual, is it? No, biannual is twice a year, isn't it? Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's
Every
a very
2 years,
open-ended name.
and it's called Old Friends New Shit. And you can explain what the premise is here for people that don't know.
Okay, so basically the premise for Old Friends New Stuff is bands that have
New
released
new shit. This is not.
Oh, sorry.
is-
Old Friends New Shit.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we cuss on this podcast,
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
We put stuff in the last title because YouTube doesn't like swear words, but on the show we'll call it Old Friends New Shit. Hell yeah. So essentially what this is we are going to rank all the albums that have come out by bands that we have covered who have released a new album since we did an episode on them.
Yes.
And we've done this once before, and there were, several albums in that episode, and I think roughly the same amount of albums in this one, if not a couple more.
We have 10, right?
We have 10 this time, yeah, yeah, and we have a variety of genres at this point.
So the interesting thing is that we're ranking things that aren't really related. The only thing that ties them together is the fact that they're bands that we previously did a ranking on.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because, honestly, this was actually pretty easy.
Okay.
but then I think about some of the albums that are like of bands that like I really care about, and I started thinking about like, well, where would they go in the actual ranking? And that's where I'm like, well, that would take way too much extra thought. So
Cool.
So 10 albums. We have 10 albums from 10 different artists that we covered in the past, and we're going to rank them based on. This is just going to be obviously just opinion. There's no other way to go about it. Personal preference of how we rank these new albums from these bands. Everything ranging from hip hop to rock to metal, death metal.
Yep. These albums run the gambit from G-funk all the way over to death metal. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So fucking love that thing. Can I hear the Bull Stanley one?
Every once in a while, we like to get a little wasted. We like to take a taste of alcohol.
Nice. Like to take a taste of coffee.
Hey. Speaking of which, I didn't take a sip out of this Kiss glass that I have here.
Oh, nice.
I got it from the Destroyer beer thing.
I think I've pretty much determined that if I was like stupid rich, like, a millionaire or billionaire or whatever, I would have like a room that was literally just Kiss stuff.
Same.
All the stupid stuff that you don't need that Kiss put out. I'd be buying it.
And the Kiss casket would be on a plinth in the middle of the room, and I would sleep in it at night like a vampire. Yeah.
All right. Well,
So yeah,
Kiss did not release a new album, so they're not on the list. So let's not even talk. Let's just surprise everybody because it's 10 albums, and let's get on with it. Let's start, as usual, throwing it to Eddie Sparxx, Edward Spartacus Esquire, to tell us what his number 10 out of all these albums is.
Okay, so I want to preface this by saying I found all of these albums enjoyable. There's not an album here that I dislike.
Yeah, I'd say and in some way I enjoyed something about all these albums. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed something about everything here, but ultimately, when I had to think to myself, out of everything here, stylistically, what is the least likely thing for me to reach for, mood wise?
Yeah.
I tallied everything up. There's some thrash metal here. There's some death metal here. There's some hip hop here. There's some classic heavy metal, and there's even some grungy stuff. Green Day, Saviors fell to the bottom of the bunch, and
Okay.
my reasoning for that is it's simply the least likely vibe I would find myself in the mood for. That being said, I think it's better than the last album by a long shot.
I agree.
I enjoyed this album far more. I would say this is a pretty damn good return to form compared to the previous album.
Yeah, except for that one song where they managed to rip themselves off and Pink off in the same song.
I did hear that. Which song was that again?
I don't know. All I know is that it begins with a series of chords, power chords that they had already used in a different song, and then it has that kind of thing. And I'm like, that's fucking Pink. They literally ripped off themselves and somebody else in one song.
I did hear that.
Obviously not on purpose. I don't think I know how it works, but still.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, I mean, this is a collection of 15 songs. 16 if you count the Japanese edition bonus track, but I'm talking the original track listing.
What a nerd. How did you even know that?
Well, I've got to be honest, I've got the wiki page up in front of me right now for the track list.
Cheating.
Yeah, sorry. Fuck! I told myself I wouldn't do
all
this.
of the information I have is just inside of my head. I don't even have to go to Google. I just go to head.com.
So, ultimately, I mean, I think it's a significant step up from the previous album. I think Green Day have really stepped their game up again. And to be honest, I mean, how old are they now? And they're still putting out like catchy stuff.
They're in their
52.
Yeah, 50s. Yeah,
Mike Dirnt 52. Trey Cool. Now, is Trey older or younger? Let me
I think
find
younger.
out. No, they're actually all 52.
Well, shit. All right.
Damn, dude. So Sage has become multi-generational at this point.
Yeah.
Did I mention we have a fourth member now?
You did last time, yeah.
So our friend Kyron from Blind Fury.
Kyron. You guys all have like such great names.
He's got to keep those.
Callum,
Kyron, Ollie,
Ollie,
Will, Eddie, Simmons.
Oliver Eiley.
Yeah, I sing that all the time. Oliver Eiley. Yeah. But it's really cool. We had our first rehearsal as a 4-piece, and it sounded fat. Yeah, it sounded really good. So having that rhythm guitar there during the solos fills it out so much. So yeah.
Green Day.
Really excited about that. Ultimately, though, Green Day, Saviors. The only reason it's at the bottom spot is because it's of the vibes here. It is my least favorite, but that doesn't mean I don't like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much good stuff. Me likey, but the bottom of this pile.
Yeah.
So over to you.
All right, my number 10 is going to be Eminem, The Death of Slim Shady. Coup de grace.
You know, I anticipated this, and while I probably enjoyed it a lot more than you did, I anticipated it.
Yeah, so this one came out in this last year, 2024. I mean, if you listen to our ranking, it makes sense because this is kind of more of the Eminem that I didn't really like. I'm not a Slim Shady Eminem fan.
Right.
So the stuff where, like we talked about on the episode, where he just became like an MTV cartoon character of himself for a little while, and now he's just back to that. And I'm just like, and I know what he's trying to do here, and some of it's interesting, some of it's fun. But I was a really big fan of his last 2 albums, and not that I wanted him to just keep doing the same shit, but I kind of didn't. I really hope this is the death of Slim Shady, because I would like to just not him because it gets really old. The joke gets really old. It's like, the I'm shocking and edgy Slim Shady side of things. Some of it's funny, but then some of it I'm just like, yeah, you maybe should have just done a song, and then the rest of the album could have been something else. But I also just, I know I shouldn't let this get in the way of the music, but it's more of this Eminem that I'm not interested in a time where it's become increasingly clear that most people don't understand context. And so,
yeah, I get you.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I know who Eminem is. I know a lot about Eminem. I know what he means. I understand what he means. I understand what he's going for. We unfortunately live in a society now where a large amount of people don't understand.
Take it very literally. And
take a lot of things literally. And
don't look at the subtext. People that skipped English class, basically.
People that just can't seem to focus on more than one part of music at a time.
Yeah.
So with rap music, they're paying a lot of attention to the lyrics, but they're not really paying attention to like anything else surrounding the lyrics or one part of a lyric as opposed to another part of a lyric and what they actually mean. And so you get things like, trending memes on the internet where it's literally just like a 10-second part of a Eminem song, and you're like, oh, see what he said? I'm like, yeah, could you put that in like widescreen so we can like hear the entire context of that part. But it's not important anymore. Context is not important. And that's annoying to me. And so I'm annoyed at Eminem for doing this, but I still love him. He's one of the best of all time, in my opinion. And, yeah, I enjoyed it, but not enough. So it's at number 10.
Okay. Fair. I enjoyed this album more than you did. I'll leave that there for the time being. So next up, this was a tricky spot for me because now that we're past the bottom spot, I feel like now I've entered the realms of this is a vibe I like, but I had to think of what vibes do I like the most. Yeah. And I almost, granted, an element of quality came into this ranking. I'm not just, it's not all thrash at the top and all pop punk at the bottom. That's not what I'm going for. But the thing I found was stylistically just what is making my ears feel nice. And ultimately, as much as I enjoyed it and as much as I liked it, Dre and Snoop Missionary ended up being my 9. And again, this enters the realm of don't hate it by any means. I actually really enjoyed it. It is just stacking it up. This is the difficult thing about putting many things together in these episodes that just, it had to make sense somehow. And it's not through a lack of quality. It's just how much I like the stuff I placed above it as a result. However, it's a really fun album. I mean, I found myself, there are many songs I enjoyed on this, and I've not had an awful lot of time in a single week to digest 10 completely different albums that, are all very different in mood, style, and whatnot. Ultimately, I found myself having a really good time to this album.
I'll tell you right now, though, if we were judging albums based on production, this is number 1 because it sounds fantastic. Amazing. I mean, it's fucking Dr. Dre. Every album that he has produced, it just sounds amazing. Sonically, it just sounds so good.
It really does. It really does. And I mean, it feels like a fun little callback to the debut, calling it Missionary, because you got Doggy Style and now you got Missionary.
And not only that, the vinyl version of this album is a picture disc that looks like a condom that comes out of the wrapper. That almost made me just buy it, because I was just like, well, I don't love this album, but that's really funny.
That's fucking epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ultimately, I mean, it's a modern take on the West Coast hip hop thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dr. Dre is involved, but I'm looking at the list of producers, and there are so many.
Well, he's the main producer, Dr. Dre. It's a Dr. Dre project.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But it is one of those things, I suppose, in hip hop, you got loads of people making beats and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
You know,
the only thing, the thing that bums me out about this album the most is that they were given access to the audio files of a Tom Petty song, and they ended up making the worst song on the album out of it. And I'm just like, it really bummed me out, because I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. And then I'm just like, I'm going to go on record and say that, you know how, like, things baffle me in this world. And the fact that anybody gives two shits about Jelly Roll is fucking baffling to me. There's nothing good about what that guy does. Nothing.
Country vocals, it sells.
But he's just another one of those fucking dudes that got face tattoos, did some hip hop, and then decided, oh, I need to do country because now that's what's going to bring me the money. They're just fucking sellouts. Him and Post Malone, sellout motherfuckers. That's an actual sellout right there. But anyway, it's just an opinion, folks. God, jeez. Don't get all crazy about Jelly Roll.
You know what wasn't just an opinion? That fucking video. That I sent you a video earlier that angered me. I've never, I try not to be that guy. I try not to be the guy that lets someone else's review of an album offend them.
Yeah.
But when someone comes out and says every song on Dirt by Alice in Chains is the same song.
They said, yes. He said it all sounds the same.
It all sounds the same, all blends together. How anyone can sit there and tell me that the songs Them Bones, fucking Rooster, Wood, Down in a Hole, and Angry Chair alone, the album's 5 singles sound the same. Sick Man. Fucking.
Yeah. I mean, I think his reasoning was they all have guitars in them.
His main thing was Lane Staley doesn't alter his vocals at all throughout, but the thing is he does. There are several things that he fucking Godsmack can
So if there's anything I've learned, it's that it's sometimes it's true, but more often than not, the one phrase that will lead me to understand that whoever is talking, one, doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, two, didn't really pay attention to the album, is when anybody says, it all sounds the same. And that's their one big critique. That is literally the way of getting out. It's like back when I was a little kid, I was in fucking elementary school, and I didn't want to be there, and I wanted to go home, and I would go tell the teacher, I'm sick, and she would go, well, what's wrong with you? And I would just go, I don't know, I just feel bad all over my body. Like that. It's fucking bullshit. It's literally a bullshit thing to say in order to have a negative opinion about something.
And the thing that I really took issue with was that it all sounds the same. But the thing is, how are you going to come out here and tell me that not changing the vocal style is a problem when you just bigged up Master of Puppets, where James admittedly does have the same vocal
range,
quality throughout, apart from maybe the slower parts of Sanitarium.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
feel like he was making a video about a genre that people clown on sometimes, and he didn't want to seem too into it, so he had to pick one album to shit on.
But
Dirt
I don't know if
being
you've
the one.
noticed, but in that video, I don't even remember the guy's name, but he had multiple camera angles just to show him sitting somewhere at slightly different angles. Like, so this is a kid who just had the money to buy this equipment to start doing videos. And that's the thing, and that's why I told you. I think my problem is I'm just so desensitized to this because I'm out here doing this shit every. It seems like every day of my life I'm working on something for podcast or YouTube videos, and then every day I see these motherfuckers that are literally just fucking muddying up the waters with complete bullshit, but they're the ones that get the fucking viewers, and I'm just like, well. I mean, I could complain all day long, but at the end of the day, maybe I should start doing clickbait, or whatever. I don't know. So,
I told you about wanting to do this character I've had in my head for a while now that just gives like reviews that you don't know what to make of because the guy can't figure out what he wants for himself.
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, anyway, this album is a classic. It's fucking horrible. You should never, under any circumstances, buy it. It's a 10 out of 10.
I love it, though.
Yeah, it's I just want to start doing TikToks with this character and just being like that one insufferable music YouTuber you know about.
Dude, no, you got to do like, just do it like on the old radio show where Ricky Gervais would do movie reviews, and no matter what he said, every movie was a 9. He would just go, 9.
Yeah.
It's a 9. Anyway, so yeah. I mean, I just think that like at this point, it's some things I just have to step back from and go, look, this shit's gonna exist, and the thing is, these people are gonna get bored of doing this shit eventually and go away. The same route that fucking what's his name. Came out and was like, I don't really like music, but I got the money, so buy. I just think that's going to end up. People are either going to bow out that way, or they're going to bow out because they get bored and they don't they're not really invested in what they're doing anyway. And then you're going to have me. I'm going to be left standing. I'm pretty sure I love doing this so much, and I love just fucking running my mouth about the music I love so much. I'm going to be fucking 60, and I'm still going to be out here trying to do shit, and there's going to be some punk ass 25-year-old who's just like, well, I think Master Puppet's overrated. It's overrated. People only like it because of Stranger Things. It's going to be happening forever and ever. Amen. And literally, I'm going to be on my deathbed, and there's still going to be people out there making jokes about the Saint Anger snare and the bass on Injustice for All or whatever. It's so fucking tired. 2025 is the year that I have zero tolerance for Lars jokes.
Yeah.
So if you out there, if you ever go look me up and you realize that you're blocked, it's probably because you posted some stupid thing like trash can drum or Lars playing out of time, or or those drummers that are like, I'm gonna do a version of a song if Lars played it. Blocked. Like
the one
people that don't even know me have been blocked.
The one thing I have seen in that vein that I thought was genuinely funny is this. There's this guy called Josh Steffen, and he does drum covers and stuff on YouTube. And he's not shitting on Lars. He just has nailed all the Lars techniques and faces and fills he does. And he does this series called Songs Getting Larsed.
Yeah, he's been blocked.
He's blocked. I thought he does it. That seemed like a labor of love. I'm not gonna lie. I saw him doing it, and I thought, you've not come out and shit on Saint Anger. You're not shitting on the guy. What you have done is learn. You've learned that like all of the Lars fills. But that really is the only thing I can think of that I've seen that doesn't piss me off at this point.
Yeah, he's guilty of continuing that. Even if he is not there's no malice, and he's is a fan, and he's just doing them to be funny. It's still adding to this thing on the internet that's fucking annoying me, because for every guy like that, there's 500 dudes that are just talking shit. And like, I'm just like, it gets so fucking annoying, because I'm like, look, all of us huge Metallica fans, we know Lars is not great. And we know that he's not as good as he was. And he in certain ways, he hasn't progressed that much. And it's kind of disappointing sometimes. But in the end, it doesn't fucking matter. Like fucking Linkin Park said. Remember?
I'm going to officially sign this into law that ignore the fact it says Doctor Who Battles in Time. It's a binder of trading cards.
Okay.
I hereby announce that from now on, only Josh Steffen is allowed to make Lars Ulrich jokes. Boom.
He fucking left the band!
Yep, there we go. And we've signed it into. Oh, by the way, did I mention I bought a whole new one of these because I had some stray Doctor Who Battles in Time.
It's a trading for the podcast cards. World. It's a Doctor Who trading card book that says battles.
This is my third one. I have three. I have three of these. This is where a sizable chunk of my mother's income went between the years of 2006 and 2009. Yeah. Tell you what, I've got two more upstairs.
Yeah!
At some point in the episode, I may run up and just simply flex on people that I have three of these, and there are a lot of them in there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I never got the gold Super Rose, which I want to find it. But
anybody out there have whatever that is? Want to send it to Eddie Sparxx?
Yeah, if anybody on this show grew up collecting Doctor Who Battles in Time trading cards and magazines, if you could kindly email me a gold Super Rose, that would be fantastic. I believe, it's the rarest card. There's only like 100, or something like that. Oh shit!
Sorry, I accidentally hit the thing for my movable desk.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I started thinking, oh shit, the computer's going. Yeah,
it's flying away.
Yeah.
No, I have one of those. I have a standing desk.
Yeah,
that is whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Have you ever seen Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun?
No.
Okay, well, there's a scene in that where one of them is just at the computer and it starts like jiggly floating away, and he just turns around. Oh shit, nets! Get the nets! And it's just zero context in the middle of the episode.
Yeah. So number 9. Was this? What was your number 9? I don't remember what it was. Dr. Dre. I mean, not Dr. Dre. It's a Snoop Dogg album.
Snoop Dogg.
All I know is that like the things that I enjoyed the most about it were the production and the beats and stuff. So to me, it's a Dr. Dre album, but I realize it's a Snoop Dogg album. But still.
Hey,
anyway, are you done with that? With your number 9?
Yep. Yarp.
Cool. My number 9 is Flotsam and Jetsam, I Am the Weapon from 2024. Their 15th album. And honestly, this goes here just because they've reached that Iron Maiden level in their career now, where they're just kind of doing similar versions of the same album, which are good and good in their own ways. But I don't really like the middle of the road metal that Flotsam and Jetsam are making in comparison to what they did for their first 6-7 albums or whatever. And in the ranking, you can hear me talk all about that because I am famously a fan of bands evolving and doing different things. And some of these bands, they get older and they get complacent and they don't really feel like rocking the boat or, trying anything new. And so it's just them writing the songs that they write, and it's not bad, but some bands I'm okay with this. Like some bands put out albums that all sound very similar, and I'm just like, fuck yeah. But not all of them. And there are some bands, especially when you're a band that has done some amazing different sounding stuff.
Yeah.
If you get into this point where you're kind of just coasting, and it's there's no way I can say it's bad. It's just not exciting to me, and so Flotsam and Jetsam, I Am the Weapon goes at number 9.
Well, at this point, this marks like the fourth album in a row where stylistically they have kind of stuck with this borderline power metal, traditional metal meets thrash kind of vibe.
Yeah,
and it's cool and all, but this is, you know, this is the same band that did Quattro Drift, Ugly Noise as well, and it's like they took more risks back then.
Even fucking When the Storm Comes Down.
When the Storm Comes Down, yeah.
I fucking love that album. But I would, but I mean, it's fine. I mean, they're obviously, not every band is just making music for me. So if they were, I would be broke because I'd be having to buy fucking vinyl all the fucking. I mean, I already buy it all the time. But imagine if like every band was like trying to impress me with every album they put out. I'm like, God damn it, guys, this is exhausting.
Yeah, stop it. I am financially crippled. I recently saw a video.
I cannot become any more erect than I already am.
I saw a video on TikTok of this guy, and he bought like his like 7th different version of Faith No More's The Real Thing, and he's got like an OG pressing, the deluxe vinyl pressing, the picture disc, a single or two, and then he just like the cassette, and then he adds like another one to the pile, and he goes, just another one for the collection. I'm in serious credit card debt.
Yeah. That's what it's like though, when you have those albums that mean so much to you and you just want to kind of own them in so many different formats. And then some bands are very happy to keep putting out formats of things. So people like me, where I do have the money to buy some stuff, but there's a ceiling I hit where I have to go, well, I can't get that deluxe box set because it's just not in the budget right now. So anyway, so number 8, your number 8.
My number 8 is Helmet Left.
Hey, it's also my number 8.
Okay, that works. Okay, I tell you what, because you have more of a background with Helmet than I do. I'm actually going to let you lead this one.
Cool. This, I could say sort of the same kind of thing I said about Flotsam and Jetsam, where there's this second wave of Helmet that Page Hamilton started doing, where it's whatever it is he's doing, it's not the Helmet that I want. And not only that, it's not interesting enough to hold my attention. I don't even really like the way he sings now. Like he does, it's more nasally, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
and almost every song has an element where I go, this would be really cool, but and so I liked things about it, but I'm still mad at Winona Ryder at the end of the day. Because I really do believe that was it, because like Helmet was just amazing shit. And then he got into a relationship with Winona Ryder. She broke his heart. He had one kind of good album left in him, which was the Size Matters album. And then it's just been this sort of, it's almost like Helmet that's been photocopied like 20 times. And you're like, I think that's Helmet there, but it's hard to make it out. And once again, like none of it's bad. Like, I really think that if this was some other band, I would be a little more receptive to it. But I know what Page Hamilton was capable of. And I don't even know how to explain what could make it better. I just know that it's not there for me. But the album's called Left, by the way. It's the 9th Helmet album. It came out in 2023. So that's like 2 years ago now at this point. So it's fine. And the only thing that kept it from being last place for me is that there's enough Helmet-y qualities in it where I go, well, that's just kind of in my DNA and in my soul, that kind of music, the groovy, heavy riffage kind of stuff. So, and it's still in there. It's just not. Not as good, but I'm glad he's still out there doing it. So that's my number 8, and your number 8.
I've just had a quick scroll through the Helmet discography on Wikipedia, just having a quick scroll through all the albums, and I forgot. I probably haven't brought this up in like at least 4 years. The Seeing Eye Dog album has to have one of the worst album covers I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like that looks like something I whipped up in 10 minutes on, not even in Photoshop, on like 2004 PowerPoint.
yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you become more of a small potatoes band, and you have an idea for a cover, sometimes I feel like you just got to go with what is available. So I don't know what went into that cover. I don't think it's awful. There's way worse covers, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Anyway, Helmet left joint number 8, yeah?
Bada boom.
Okay, so my number 7 is Flotsam and Jetsam, I Am the Weapon.
Hey!
This is crazy, awesome, ripping thrash metal with traditional metal, power metal-ish elements added to it.
Uh-huh.
It does have moments of ridiculous awesomeness. However, I found myself thinking the same thing that you did when we did this ranking as well. It just feels like it's played a little bit too safe.
Yeah.
If they took this sound and did something wildly different with it on top of it, that would be cool.
Or even take the style and do something different. Like a good example, is Judas Priest. Judas Priest has, after Painkiller, they kind of have a similar thing that they do, but then they'll do something like, Nostradamus. It's like, if you're going to do, a similar vibe, maybe present it in a different way. Because sometimes that'll be what it takes. Because if the shit's already good, then if you present it in some different, unique way, then I'll be like, I like what you're doing. I'm into this album,
Yeah.
Once again, they're not making it for me.
Speaking of which, Judas Priest are in this list.
They are in this list, yeah.
So, Flotsam and Jetsam, I Am the Weapon. It's good.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way about this album as I do about the 3 that come before it. I would call it a solid 7 out of 10 because it's not middle of the road. To me, it's performed and written very well.
Yeah.
But it's just, at this point, what is it? There's 13 tracks on that album. There's 13 on that one. So that brings us up to 26. What's that? 12. That's 38. So
I don't even know what he's doing, folks.
40. At this point, there are 49 tracks across these 4 albums.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing.
And the vibe changes very little. And even with something like Metallica back in the day, you would have Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Unjustice for all thrash metal albums through and through. But the vibes on them were all so distinctly different that people were like, "Oh, this is something new. It's something new." Whereas now it feels like there's a Flotsam and Jetsam preset, and they don't move from that.
There's a lot of bands doing that, and in the metal world, especially with older bands, that's kind of the expectation now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, whereas you're going to use the same producer, or if you use a different producer, you're going to have a similar sound anyway, because that's what you're going for. And so it is what it is. I've kind of thrown up my hands to the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, with that, there's not really an awful lot I have to say other than it's performed really well. The stuff that's written is really cool. But from this band at this point, we're 4 albums into what feels like the same era. And each album to me doesn't scream its own unique thing.
Yeah.
It's all 4 sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
if you catch my drift. Yeah. So with that, it's good, but none of it jumps beyond a 7 for me because, for obvious reasons, it's all. Yeah.
All right. My number 7 is Snoop Dogg Missionary, which is the most recent album on the list. That one came out this year, 2025. It's the fucking 20th album that Snoop Dogg has done. 20 albums that guy has done. Anyway, produced by Dr. Dre. Sounds amazing. It's got a really fun vibe. A lot of the songs are... It's also not super long, which I thought was kind of cool. But like...
Yeah.
I found myself really enjoying most of the album. Even if like the song itself wasn't that great, the vibe of it or a beat or just the way sonically it sounds... I don't know what it is that he does with shit, but like there's certain sounds in that world, in like the hip hop world, where it just sounds so good to me. So it goes here because I thought I did enjoy it. I think it's a real, for people who are fans of Dre and Snoop and stuff like that. It's fucking great. But unfortunately, it is the kind of album that I don't think I would end up going back to a lot. It would be more like if a song came up, I'd be like, it's a banger. But then like nothing was really calling me to listen to it. So it ends up going at number 7.
Cool. I remember seeing a video back in the day. I think it was during lockdown. And a guy listened to every single Snoop Dogg feature, and I think there's like over 1,000.
Oh my
god! Because Snoop Dogg has, I think Snoop Dogg has this thing where you can pay him to be a feature on your song. Like, you can essentially pay to have a pre-recorded verse. And funnily enough, he realized some of these verses are like the same verse because you can choose from a selection of verses. And yeah, I can't remember the full story, but yeah, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
number 6.
My number 6 is Pearl Jam Dark Matter.
Nice.
And I thought this was actually going to be lower down, but
Same for me too. Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised because when we did the Pearl Jam episode, we both said that Pearl Jam is another band that like were like crazy interesting to us, and then reached a point and they were just kind of doing a style that didn't grip us nearly as much as the other stuff, kind of a la Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah. With
the notable exception of maybe like an album or two. But dude, like listening to this album was really cool. Mm-hmm. And I found myself enjoying several of the moments on it. And there are a lot of songs that sound distinct from each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like one alternative rock song after another. It's like, oh, this one's a little heavier. This one's a little softer. There's all these different things going on. And I found myself really, really enjoying the vibe on this one. Mm-hmm. It was cool to listen to. Cause I haven't really listened to like kind of modern Pearl Jam in a long time. So maybe stepping back from that a little bit and just enjoying this album in isolation actually helped it. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty damn cool. Well deserving widespread critical acclaim. Really, really good hard rocking stuff. I'd give it like a 7 or an 8. I don't know why I'm assigning fucking scores. I've never done that before, but
why not?
I would listen to this album again. Simply put, as opposed to an album that I feel like plays it too safe. At least this album has a lot of very interesting things going on.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, shit, I didn't know this. So all lyrics are written by Eddie Vedder. All music is composed by Pearl Jam and Andrew Watt, except Something Special by Pearl Jam, Watt, and Josh Klinghoffer. The whole Josh Klinghoffer thing, did you hear about that?
Why does that name sound familiar? Who's that?
He was the guy that came into Red Hot Chili Peppers after Frusciante.
Got it. Yeah. No. What about him?
Second time. Did you hear there was a 2024 motor vehicle collision where he ran someone over and they died?
Oh shit! No, I did not hear that.
Yeah, he was charged with vehicular manslaughter without gross negligence, a misdemeanor that carries a maximum penalty of 1 year in jail and a $1,000 fine. Klingerhofer was not accused of any violent intent, but rather a failure to yield.
Oh shit.
On September 26, 2024, Klingerhofer, on behalf of his lawyer, was arraigned and pleaded not guilty to the charges. But yeah, there's a what is it? Nick Rowley, the attorney for the family, said in a statement on behalf of the family that Mr. Klingerhofer should be arrested and prosecuted for homicide. We have a video of him on his cell phone at the time he hit and killed Israel Sanchez, a loving father, on a crosswalk. So pretty terrible situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, stay off your phones, everybody. That's
it's
fucking. I worry about that shit all the time. I'm always worried about, well, in my neighborhood, not only running over people but dogs as well. So
yeah, or people fucking running over you. Like I pulled in here today, and I just had someone speed through myself trying to park, and cars on the other side of the street as well. There was probably 2 inches either side. How they didn't hit either car, I do not fucking know.
And at the end of the day, they probably saved themselves about 20 seconds wherever they were going. Anyway, is it me time? Number 6?
Yeah, sorry, we went on a little bit of a morbid tangent.
Sure, there. No, it's all right. My number 6 is Green Day with Saviors from 2024, cool. Their 14th album. So when it comes to the there are some bands out there that I may not be 100% into what they're currently doing, but I find myself rooting for them. And Pearl Jam's another one of those bands where they put out something and I just go, if it's successful, I'm very glad that they're still successful. And with Green Day, I liked the last album they did, which was Father of All Motherfuckers was the last album. Mm-hmm. I liked what they were going for. It wasn't, the songs weren't good enough for me to really be into it. Cause I like when bands do something different, and that's what that album was. And so now they're back to more of a Green Day-ish thing that everybody expects, which isn't amazing to me, but it is enjoyable. I will give it that. There's plenty of tunes on here where I'm like, this is a fun song. This has good energy on it. I did enjoy it, but it goes along with even going all the way back to American Idiot. It's all music where there are songs here and there that I like, but overall I'm just not excited about it anymore. But I do. Especially, I prefer just watching live footage of them. So them playing songs from more recent albums live, if that comes up on my feed, I will watch that because I'm they're a great live band, and I enjoy watching that. But album wise, I'm it's just not giving me the same excitement that their old stuff did. But I like them so much as a band that I'm I'm rooting for them. I want them to be successful. So I'm glad this album was successful for them. And I'm glad they're still out there fucking touring stadiums and shit because they deserve it. They're a great band. But Saviors is good, not great. It ends up being my number 6.
Okay, cool. So I would hazard a guess that we've reached the half point. I would say we're in fuck yeah territory now. So my number 5 is Judas Priest, Invincible Shield.
Okay.
I found myself really enjoying this album.
Yeah.
And I had all of the albums in a playlist, and I just burned through them, deleting songs as I went. That's how I do it every time. Yeah. I make a playlist on Spotify, and slowly as I go through it, I tick songs off and I delete them until it gradually becomes naught, and I delete the playlist. But this album, when I got to it, as soon as the intro to Panic Attack started, I was like,
that first song is really strong and fun.
as soon as I heard there's like
Panic Attack.
yeah, but like the thing that blew my mind right out of the gate was, are those fucking 80s drum fills with like synths and stuff? And admittedly, that's something I wish had appeared again on the album, but that doesn't change the fact that for the next between 52 and 64 minutes, depending on which version you listened to, frankly, this, for a band this late in the game with a vocalist this old, to make music this fucking killer,
Yeah.
god damn, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, how old's Rob Halford? Is 73.
Yeah.
70 fucking 3.
Yeah.
Like, and we all know he's not as animated on stage as he used to be.
No.
Home dude can still bring it vocally.
Fuck yeah.
And I mean, god damn, dude. Like the band as well. I mean, it's still Glenn Tipton's still in the band. Obviously, you've got Richie Faulkner instead of KK Downing. Ian Hill and Scott Travis have been in the band now. How long? I think Ian Hill has been there throughout, right? Let's have a look.
I don't know.
No, he is on all the albums. Yeah, holy shit. Quietly the most consistent bass player in metal. So
wait, so there's three of them that have been there the whole time now that are left? Okay.
Yeah, because Scott Travis started on Painkiller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, this album rules. Like, you know, of course, my favorite Judas Priest is going to be the 80s stuff.
Same here. Yeah.
And a lot of people's favorite stuff is the 70s stuff. A lot of people's favorite stuff is Painkiller. I would lump Painkiller onto the end of the 80s stuff because it's pre Nevermind. It's heavier, but it's still pre Nevermind. So as far as I'm
Painkiller is such a weird album for me now that I'm a full on Judas Priest fan, because I will talk about how fucking enjoyable that album is, but as soon as somebody says that's like the best Priest album, I'd be like, get fucked. It's fucking awesome and it's amazing. Get fucked. It is not the best Priest album by a long shot.
To be honest, in recent times, I have found myself, you know, going back to my Priest ranking because Painkiller was my number one. Yeah, and I have thought you have this unique ability to sway me sometimes. where I
I'm so passionate.
But you have this ability to make me look at something from a different angle, and man, that run from you know, Screaming for Vengeance through Ram It Down is also unfuckwithable. Especially Defenders, man. What a fucking good album that is.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing is, I still consider Defenders my favorite album, but the more that I'm becoming a fan of everything that they've done, you know, up until the 2000 stuff, I still haven't really gotten that deep into, but it's harder for me to actually say definitively that one album is great because I will hear shit from like the 70s albums as well. Or I'm just like, oh, this song, what album is this on? Oh, this is not 80s, but this song fucking kills it. So it's like they become a band where there's just like so much good shit that I'm like, yeah, I have a preference. But at the end of the day, I'm like, they fucking managed to do so much amazing music and are still putting out cool shit. So,
and this is the beautiful thing about this show is that when we started doing this show, you didn't really give a hoot about Priest, barring some of the hits.
Did not. I was not a Judas Priest fan, and I had never. I don't think I had listened to a full Judas Priest album before we did that ranking. I think I had just heard songs, and even then, it never clicked with me, except for like a couple things here and there. But yeah, that's the number one reason. That is a shining example of why I don't make definitive statements about anything. Yeah, because I don't know how I'm going to feel about it later. So you know so bands that like I don't care about now, who the fuck knows? Like we fucking did that entire Linkin Park episode, and I'm like, I'm not interested in this band at all. But there's no way I would come out and be like, fuck Linkin Park, they fucking suck. Because like, who knows, 10 years down the line, I might find myself fully into that band.
Yeah.
Because like that's when you're a fan of music, I think that's how it works. When you're a legit fan of music and not a fan of a genre, or if your musical taste isn't like a costume that you wear to make you look a certain way. If you're a real music fan, that shit happens all the time. Shit that like you did not expect to get into, all of a sudden you've gotten really into, and that is what I love so much about music. I love that it constantly surprises me, but at the same time, there's that old reliable stuff that you put it on and it makes you feel a certain way, and it's always there for you. But you have all this other shit, and that's why like I have no time for the stuff that I don't care about. I'm not going to waste time talking shit about country music or whatever, because there's so much stuff that's kind of still in my vicinity that I'm like, oh, maybe one day I'll get to that one over there or whatever. But it's amazing. I cannot stress enough how much I enjoy music and everything that's out there. It's it's the greatest thing in life, in my opinion, is that we've created as humans, music. It's amazing. So thanks to the cavemen that came up with the drums or whatever they did.
Yeah. Those are the real pioneers.
The OGs.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of which, you know what I was thinking? We could we could work that into that character. Yo, fuck all these fake proto metal bands like fucking Steppenwolf and Blue Cheer. You want to know who really did it first? Check out Ugh by Badum Badum from 6 million BC. It's a little overrated, but it's a classic for a reason. We've also got 3 guys banging a whale carcass for 6 hours. Much better example of the early grindcore scene.
This is a man. I'd watch an entire show of that.
This is my new favorite thing.
Yeah,
it's my new favorite thing. Rip Chester Bennington from Shrimp Biscuit, who died in 2003 from being too grunge. Seriously, rest in peace, Chester Bennington. Sorry, I used you for a cheap joke.
What were we talking about? You were talking about Judas Priest. Are you still on that?
Yes, yeah. Judas Priest. Priest
Invincible
rules. All this
shield.
punk shit sucks.
Madonna can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. She's a dick.
Oh yeah. Simply put, Priest fucking killed it. And these guys are getting older.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that there will be another Judas Priest album. So, I mean, to be putting shit out this great towards, the latest. I mean, how long have Judas Priest been going? They started in 1969.
Yeah.
They're 4 years off a 60th anniversary.
It's amazing to me because, like, I'm going to be 47 in about less than 2 months, and I find I get exhausted just doing regular ass shit around the house, and then there's these people like Rob Halford or like your Lemmys of the world who literally just continued doing this shit until like they were fucking old as fuck, or in Lemmy's case until he passed away. And to me, those are the people that are like the biggest heroes to me, the ones that like started way back in the day, were part of a fucking musical revolution shit, like changing shit and making the music that I truly enjoy, but are still fucking walking out there making new music and still, putting on a fucking killer show. Like that shit is amazing to me. That those people, like, what a fucking life if Rob Halford, unfortunately, knock on wood or whatever this desk is made out of, passes away tomorrow, what a fucking life. Like, and what a fucking example of, if you're going to start making music, like, look at somebody like Rob Halford and be like, yeah, because like literally the dude had never fucking stopped. Even he left, Judas Priest, started doing Fight, did Halford, did all this, it's like, and then came back to Judas Priest. And then they've been, for an older band, still pretty fucking steady doing shit. And it's just like, that is remarkable to me. And it's just, yeah, those are the fucking, the badasses of the world. You prove yourself when you get to a certain point, because everybody, you could say things about, like, Ozzy is kind of the same way, but Ozzy to me, kind of, because he started veering off into like, oh, I'm gonna do a TV show now or whatever, like, he doesn't really, I love Ozzy, but he's not a Rob Halford to me, because
Rob Halford never stopped the music side of things.
No. And anyway, I keep going off on these like these sort of like heartfelt tangents in this episode, and I don't know where they're coming from.
This is the episode to do it, because we're talking about a hell of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, with that, do you want to wrap Judas Priest up and head over to your number 5?
Yeah. I'll be quick. My number 5, Pearl Jam, Dark Matter from 2024, the 12th Pearl Jam album. Liked this. I liked it way more than I expected.
Yeah, me too.
Was very enjoyable, and I think you hit on something that nailed it. Where I think listening to their newer stuff, removed from everything else, like, I hadn't listened to. I think the last Pearl Jam album I listened to Vitalogy maybe about a year ago, maybe like 10 months ago. And so it's been a little bit of a break from Pearl Jam. And so I put this on, and sure, it's nowhere near as good as Vitalogy, but I was like, oh yeah. Like, and Pearl Jam is another one of those bands. I will watch live footage of them whenever it comes up, and I still look at those guys and I'm like, I want them to be a fucking huge band, and I want them to continue to kick ass like they are. Even if it's not music that I am actively going to listen to. But putting this album on, I was like, wow, there are things that I don't necessarily like about this, but overall, it's a pretty strong album. And it had plenty of moments where I was like, that was cool. Or, and so good for them, man. It's like, they've been at it a while. They are like kind of in a middle of the road area as well, like some other bands, but it's quality shit. And it ended up being number 5 for me simply because of the fact that I was ready to just sort of be bored with it, and I really wasn't. It's a good album, and yeah, that's really all I got. Number 5, Pearl Jam, because honestly, my fuck yeah zone starts at number 4. But yeah, the Pearl Jam album was good. If you were curious what I thought.
You know what I'm not mentally prepared for?
What?
Living in a world where Eddie Vedder is in his 60s.
Is he about to be 60?
He is 60 as of December 23rd, 2024.
Jeez, man.
That's fucked up. That's fucked. I got into Pearl Jam when he was in his mid 40s. Now
he's the guy from those big grunge bands that made it.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, I mean, can you imagine if Lane, Kurt, Chris, fucking Andrew Wood, all these people,
Chris still
Starr.
bothers. That still bothers me. Chris Cornell. That still bothers me.
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that day vividly. I remember the moment that my friend, drummer, Will Tucker, he came down and said, zero warning, just dropped this on me. Dude, Chris Cornell died. And I was like in disbelief.
Yeah.
And Scott Weiland, while sad, I could see it coming. Chris Cornell came out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's interesting, especially for me, because like I was a teenager when all of that music was blowing up, and it was all very important to me.
Yeah.
To kind of throughout my life see these people pass away, and I'm just like, man, it's so fucking crazy. And honestly, if you were to ask me, when Pearl Jam started, like the first album cycle when they really blew up, if you were going to ask me like who was going to probably die first, I'd be like, well, clearly Eddie Vedder. Look at the crazy shit he's always doing. Motherfucker's just always hanging off stuff, jumping off stuff. Eventually, like, I don't know what tour it's on, but there's a show where he fucking breaks the floor of the stage and then crawls out down into the floor and leaves.
Yeah.
Just like for a little while, that guy was like, he might do something dumb and kill himself one day. But he's not that guy anymore. But once again, I like those guys. I like Eddie Vedder. So
yeah. Well,
number 4.
number 4. Okay, this would be interesting to see where we match up. So my number 4. Notice how we've kept some heavy stuff towards the top.
The funny thing is, people that already know where we're going, they're like, "Oh, I wonder what number 1's going to be." Anyway, what's your number 4?
Yeah. So my number 4 is Cannibal Corpse, Chaos Horrific.
Okay.
And again, it is one of those things where Cannibal Corpse have a sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know what a Cannibal Corpse album is going to sound like at this point.
Yeah.
And it is admittedly at this point, like every few years, you'll get a Cannibal Corpse album and it'll be reliably fucking awesomely brutal and insane. But I mean, when you land on something like the sound Cannibal Corpse has, it's just so good, man. Holy shit. Listening to this. And there are moments on this where I was like, have I heard them do that groove before? Like, you could say maybe there's some riff blur in death metal and all that there. But I mean, when it sounds this good and when its intent is so upfront, it's hard not to find something enjoyable about just being battered by this thing for 40 straight minutes.
Yeah.
There is something about what they have that's just outstanding in their field. Like, I sound like I'm describing some sort of sports team, but they are just absolutely, they're top of the game. Like, they're at the top for a reason. They're really fucking good at it.
Yeah.
And they're just so good at making devastatingly heavy shit. And honestly, this could be one of those discographies to do Cranked and Revisited on, because we have talked about maybe this year doing a couple revisiteds, and 2 that I'm really interested in doing are Kiss and Judas Priest.
I agree. I would like to do both of those.
Those look like they're going to be the first 2. So whoever is interested in that, put what you'd like to hear first in the comments, or I don't know, maybe leave it up to you guys, because really, I mean, we've done it once.
He's fucking with you. It's going to be Kiss.
It's going to be Kiss, yeah. Fuck you. Yeah.
Don't get a big head, people. Like you're gonna have any kind of say in this shit.
Yeah, I mean, this.
He has a Kiss glass. Yeah. But are you drinking cold gin in it? That's the only thing you can drink in that.
Would you believe if I said it was cold gin?
I mean, it looks like it. Or
it's
water.
Cold gin.
Yeah.
Warm
water again. Anyway, are you still talking about Cannibal Corpse?
Yeah, fucking rules. Over to you.
All right, number 4 for me is Obituary, Dying of Everything from 2023.
Number 4,
their 11th album. This is more of the same old Obituary, and I'm cool with that. I enjoyed this album. It's cool. It sounds like Obituary. John Tardy still sounds fucking cool and one of the most unique death metal vocalists there is.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's the only thing about this album is that it hasn't had a lot of re-listening qualities for me.
Okay.
Like it came out, I got it on vinyl, I listened to it, I really enjoyed it, and it was like it feels like it was a year before I ever like thought about it again. But once I listened to it again for this, I was like, hey, it's just fucking great. It's Obituary doing Obituary shit, and some bands you're cool with them doing it, and yeah. So I don't have much more to say about that. It's my number 4, Obituary, Dying of Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna hang on to that. I'm gonna hang on to my Obituary info
Okay.
because mine is slightly higher.
Okay.
But I'm gonna come out and say my number 3 is the death of Slim Shady, coup de grace.
All right.
Coup de grace, coup de grace. Yeah,
I don't fucking
yeah.
know.
I really enjoyed it, and I know the Slim Shady persona isn't your favorite.
Yeah.
But I like what he did with it in terms of crafting a little story of him
Yeah.
fighting himself. Like, and I'll get to it, but this Eminem was the first ever artist I fully latched onto and wanted to listen to everything he'd ever put out. This was the first time where, like, this was just before I got into metal. I realized that I had a thing for aggressive music,
Yeah.
but I hadn't got to the metal yet.
Yeah.
So obviously there is a lot to love about Eminem. As a kid growing up at the time that's like kind of pissed off at some shit. I want some aggressive music.
Yeah.
Eminem's got that in spades. And hearing this, you know, this album tends to divide opinion because you've got the people that don't realize it's a joke.
Yeah.
And you've got the people that don't realize it's a joke at points. Like, it's almost like there's two different sides of that. You've got the people that think the offensive part is the good guy.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And you've got the people that think on the flip side, the offensive guy is how Eminem feels. When in actual fact, in the middle, he's wrestling with himself the entire time. It's based around him being kidnapped by Slim Shady.
Yeah.
It's him battling shit he has done or said that he either feels weird about or, you know, the whole album is just him battling his alter ego and being like, you know, you're kind of an asshole, you know? Yeah, well, you wouldn't be shit if it weren't for me. And it's like, you know, you needed me. And I will say, Guilty Conscience 2, where M's, you know, when the Slim Shady voice becomes fuller and sounds more like Eminem show encore Eminem, I got chills listening to that the first time because it was like, oh shit, you know, these are all the things that made you who you are, and you know, and you lost control of me. It's just you, and it's all on you. But then he reclaims himself at the end.
Yeah.
And, you know,
most people didn't listen that far.
Yeah, and I think that the at least for the first 13 tracks are a concept album. You know, beyond that, there's like a bunch of other songs on the album that don't really tie with the theme that are just good songs.
Yeah.
But the way it's structured, I really do think that you have to meet in the middle if you're going to examine this album. And you've got the people who, like I say, don't think it's a joke, or don't think it's a joke, is that you've got the people on one hand who are like, yeah, someone should beat up midgets And then you've got the other people. Sorry, little people. I'm talking in context of the album.
Context, remember that.
Context, right? And then you've got the other people like, is he allowed to say that? It's like, it's the thing I like is that it's simultaneously pissed one side off and the other, because one is saying, I don't like the new woke Eminem that doesn't like Slim Shady, and then you've got the classic other side of things where Slim Shady's offensive, I don't like him, I don't understand that he's a character and Eminem is the real guy, you know, this guy killed his wife. This is the level of believability these people have, and these people have.
It's a lack of critical thinking that runs the gamut with different types of people. So that's the thing that, like, you can paint me as a lefty all day long if you want to, but I also get really fucking annoyed at a lot of lefties, not as much as the righties, but there's shit is bad because of these two extremes. And when it comes to art, that's why a lot of shit just it's the internet too, because a lot of those people who when things get complicated, when concepts get complicated and there's more to it than just the thing somebody said, then it's almost like they can't even wrap their heads around it. And so they just have to choose a side. And depending on what kind of person they are, they're choosing the I'm highly offended side, or finally somebody's saying something about little people or whatever, Yeah. And so, so it's exhausting for me. And and that's why I have to admit that my non-enjoyment of this album has to come from society at large. Because I just hear it and I go, oh God, I just can hear the conversations, and I've seen the things online, and it's so annoying because it's like, I don't feel like I'm a very smart person, but then I'm constantly reminded every day, like, oh shit, maybe I am, maybe I am really smart, because I'm able to like take concepts and understand multifaceted concepts, and understand context, and most importantly, understand intent. Which is like, but it's almost like that's fallen out of style. Like, it's not in style to think that way.
Yeah, it's one extreme or the other nowadays.
It's just crazy because it's just, but it really ruins my enjoyment of something like this. But on top of that, I just was never a fan of the Slim Shady thing anyway, because he would do other songs and I'd be like, he's way too good for this. He doesn't need Slim Shady. And I guess maybe we've, I don't even know if he's doing any more albums. I don't know if this is the end of his career or not. Because he seems like the kind of dude that would bow out at some point and be like, later guys, it's been fun. But because I can't imagine Eminem making an album as an old man. But who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? This may be time to let's have a look here. Where is it? Yeah, I don't know. I can definitely see him, appearing in songs and shit, and like, but I don't know. I think, like, wasn't Encore intended to be like his final album, and then 20 years later he's released a bunch more albums?
Maybe. I don't know enough about that to know if that was supposed to be the end or not, but it's honestly at this point it's silly to declare that. I think we've learned from Motley Crue, don't declare that you're done. If you're done, it's just like what they call it an Irish goodbye or an Irish exit, where it's just like, if you're done at the party, just go home. Like, you don't need to come around and tell everybody, because it's just like, we'll figure it out. We're smart, some of us.
Cool. Well, I mean that's my number 3.
Cool.
Over to you.
My number 3, Judas Priest, Invincible Shield from 2024. So
Who'd have thought 4 years ago?
Here's the thing, though. This album has grown on me a lot because here was my journey with this album. They released Panic Attack as a single, and I was like, oh, let's fucking go. This is great. Then they released like another single where I was like, this is okay. And then when the album came out, I immediately listened to it, and I have to admit, like, I got kind of bored with it. And I don't know if it was just the mood I was in, or if I wasn't necessarily interested in the sound, them still doing this kind of same thing that they're doing, because it's, you could say the same thing about Judas Priest as I said about Flotsam and Jetsam, that they are kind of doing similar things a lot. But then, like, this album kept sort of calling me back. Like, I would just see somebody post about it, or I'd see the cover art somewhere, and I would just go back and listen to some of it again. And like, it started to really get to the point where I'm like, no, clearly doesn't stand up with 70s and 80s Priest, in my opinion, but it's really fun. It's really well done. It's energetic, and it's amazing that these guys are, like you said, still doing shit of this quality at this late in the game. And honestly, it's an album that, like, it's one of those albums that, like, I would have it on vinyl if it wasn't so goddamn expensive. It's like the black vinyl version is like $40, and I'm just like, okay, yeah. I don't have that kind of dough, right? I buy a lot of records, but if you're like a big band and you're charging, $45 for a black vinyl version of your album, then I'm just like, I'm going to wait till it comes down in price. But I eventually plan on getting it. But anyway, yeah, that seems to be a thing. Like, I've noticed that bigger artists are charging more for their records than the smaller artists are. And I was like, that's interesting. Because shouldn't you guys already earn a good amount of money? These other guys that are on indies, a new band comes out, a new album comes out from a band on a more of an indie label, and $25, like Relapse Records, like metal bands on Relapse, those fucking $25 albums, which and don't get me wrong, I'm willing to fork over the money because I understand what's going on in the music world and in the economy and all of this stuff, and I will never stop supporting bands. So if the average record cost ends up going up to where, like, every record that comes out is $45, you're going to find me forking over $45, because I am not. Music is. It's like the fucking. Have I talked about this on the show, that I keep seeing this quote unquote hot take being posted on the internet where people say, Apple Music should be free when you buy an iPhone, and I'm like, that's how little you care about fucking music, that you're just like having like people. Millions of songs at your disposal is not worth $10-15 a month to you. Yeah. And so it's just like this entitlement of like, oh, everything costs too much or whatever. I'm like, well, then you're just not that big of a fan then. So that's fine. But anyway, another fucking tangent. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Boring fucking people that need to be dragged out of their fucking living room and whipped with a cane.
But those are the same people that, like, once again, it gets another thing that gets you blocked is making a fucking Lars Napster joke, because it's like the fact that you were that clueless and that stuck 25 years ago that you're still just like, oh, Lars sucks Napster. I'm like, haven't you realized the whole fucking music world has now come around and be like, yeah. Everyone understands why he did it. It wasn't to keep them rich. It was about control. And even back in the day, he fucking said that's what it was about. But nobody cares because people are shitheads. But anyway, so it's like one of those things where, like, that's why Napster pissed me off back in the day, because I was just like, What's wrong?
devalued it.
What's wrong with giving an artist money if you enjoy what they're doing? Like, why do you expect that it's supposed to be free? Like, because we don't live in that kind of society, especially in our countries where it's capitalism. And and then as flawed as it may be, until we figure out another way, this is the way that it works. And if somebody puts the fucking energy and time and productivity and whatever into putting out an album or whatever, it's worth money. And so, I don't know. Anyway, sorry. How many times have I said sorry in this episode? Because you know what? I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry I took the money. Anyway.
Cool. Well,
number two.
That brings us to my number two. My number two is "Dying of Everything" by Obituary, and good Lord, right off the bat, production fucking killer. This is awesome. The mix is awesome. It's atmospheric. It has atmosphere. Something that so many fucking bands these days forget, because there are so many bands, and this pisses me off. Right? I'm really going in. I'm really going in. It has been such a thing now for years. For years now, I will listen to something, and it will be described as atmospheric, but it is so digitally done that I am hyper aware that I am listening to a studio recording.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to feel any kind of atmosphere when I'm hyper aware that this is a synth VST, this is a drum preset that every gent band fucking uses? Yes, I know that you've got gated reverb on it, but it's compressed to such a level that any effect that's supposed to give it is lost. You've got heavy guitars that, again, heavy, but they sound too processed. Something like this, but
you're not even getting to the actual final mix and mastering, where everything is just like forced into a fucking tiny little space.
Everything is. The thing I love about heavy albums of old is that you could crank it up and you felt like you were in this otherworldly place with dudes kicking your ass, right? Like this album sounds. But so many albums nowadays, like something as well that pisses me off about the whole, we're coming out of the end of the whole loudness war thing, and that's less of a thing nowadays. I think production has improved since this, but there are still
certain aspects. Yes, I agree.
In other ways, there are those blown out low end where there's too much of it that it loses all atmosphere for me. That's a huge problem with a lot of modern heavy music, is the lack of atmosphere. And it took me years to figure out what was wrong. Yeah. And there are albums with that style of production that I have enjoyed and do enjoy, but but because it's been the status quo for going on 25 years now, it's just so played out. And I'll hear something and I'll be like, the only thing that sets this apart from a song 15 years ago is that the synth is maybe more audible, or something like this, something like that. Whereas I just wish bands would take more of a foray in this direction of more of an atmospheric mix. And I know it's selfish of me to say that all these bands should do what I want to say.
Yeah.
And I get that completely. But if you go back to the 70s, you would listen to umpteen bands from the same quote unquote style, and they all sounded completely different. You go to the albums in the 80s. It's a controversial era for production, but I love it nonetheless.
Yeah.
I get people's problems with it, but I enjoy it. But despite that, flaws, warts and all, the songs and the albums, they sounded different. You know, Slayer didn't sound like fucking Candlemass. You know, you had all of these sorts of different. Well, you know, Slayer didn't sound like Testament. Testament didn't sound like Metallica.
Yeah.
Kind of. You know, but I mean, a little bit.
Yeah.
But still, like I say, there were still identifiable characteristics from band to band. Nowadays, when a band comes out, and I run the risk of sounding like I have a boomer take, you know. And I get that. I get that, you know, not everybody is as clued in or as tapped in with like music production as I am. Hell, like when I talk about this shit with other people, it's like I'm speaking some sort of like alien language. It might be like bleep bloop to them.
Some of it sounds that way to me. Sometimes you'll say things and I'm like, well, I don't really know what that means. So
yeah, but ultimately, when I listen to an album like, and this is why I think the early 90s was when it was fully perfected, was you go back and you listen to something like the Black Album, Core by Stone Temple Pilots, 10 by Pearl Jam, Dirt by Alice in Chains. All of these albums stand up. They sound heavy. Yeah. They sound modern enough to where they kick ass to this day. Mm-hmm. You know, love it to bits. Don't get me wrong, but something like "Dressed to Kill" by Kiss is a very dry 70s recording, and it does sound of its time. It's not a heavy sounding mix, and it wouldn't stand up nowadays. I get that. However, to have had an era like the early 90s and have such great sounding albums that straddled that line between sonic bombast and atmospheric space, I just feel like somewhere along the line we got far too obsessed with over perfecting things to the point where it can the only right answer is to sound like a studio recording that was done on a computer.
Yeah.
And I know that this is probably the hardest rant I've ever gone on about it. I find myself in moments where I find an album like this that sonically ticks that box for me in today's day and age. I have that moment when I'm listening to the album thinking, fuck yeah, someone gets it. And as soon as it's over, I find myself thinking, why doesn't everyone else do that? You know, or at least some sort of variation on it to where it doesn't sound, it sounds like you're in a space with the band. It doesn't sound like they're trapped somewhere and they're trying to get out. Yeah. You know, it does. Yeah.
I don't know how the sound has gotten there, but yeah, you're right. In some respects, it's getting better.
I get fired up about it.
No, I'm with you. I like the way this album sounds. This is funny, but I don't know if this is just me, but the first single that came out on this album, which is "The Wrong Time," I think is the name of the song.
Yeah.
If you the main riff. If you took that riff and put it in like a horn section in an orchestra, it sounds like a fucking action movie. Yeah. Like it literally would be like in a fucking action movie. And it's like, and this is a death metal band and they write riffs like that where it's just like, it's really upbeat sounding, funny enough.
Yeah. Tell you what, I've just realized something as well. You know how I mentioned before that I've seen things that are the exact same length next to each other?
Yes.
Tracks 2, 3, and 4 are all the exact same length.
Oh my god.
428, 428, 428.
Speaking of that, yesterday I listened. I finally have like made the leap into trying to really get into Peter Gabriel era Genesis.
Yeah.
Which I've never gotten into.
Okay.
But I found a couple used 70s versions of a couple albums at the record store yesterday. And I listened to Trespass, which Trespass is the first proper Genesis album, because their first album apparently was more like a pop rock kind of thing, although I've never heard it. Wow. But the first side has 3 songs on it, and they're all 7 minutes exactly.
Wow.
And I didn't time it because I'm just looking at what's on the label, but I'm like, are they really like they're both the 3 songs in a row are exactly 7 minutes long? How does that work?
Yeah.
But I have to go look at the digital version and be like, are they actually 7 minutes long exactly? Because if that's true, then that's some witchcraft shit going on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah, the thing that really the final like nail in that, yeah, this is going way up there, was that part in War where the everything drops out and it goes to that acoustic guitar playing the riff on its own, and then just that killer fucking mix just comes in like a sledgehammer.
yeah.
Ding, 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 boom, like that was the point at which, yeah. Obituary have always had an atmosphere to them.
Yeah.
Like on all the albums, to some level, there is an atmospheric element to their sound. But I just, yeah, it's one of those where I praise the shit out of this album, and I find myself frustrated about a bunch of other albums because I'm like,
Yep.
why? What is wrong with Space? You know,
Yeah.
what is it? Like, I'm not saying you can't have huge low end and be heavy. Fucking Korn, 1994. That's heavy as shit. It's way down there. And it's got Space going on. Like,
Yeah.
there's just
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. The only thing that I can think of is that it just became the groupthink mentality that the big rock sound was bad, and so everybody retreated the other way too far.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, but now everyone's still fighting to get out of it because I think so many newer bands were brought up on that stuff now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, this is how it's supposed to sound, because my classic albums are these metalcore albums that all are real compressed and shit. So it's interesting, but I just find it kind of frustrating that it feels like, to my ear at least, we achieved perfection and we took it for granted. Solely on a production standpoint at this point, because there's bands that come out now and they'll put a song out and I think, this song fucking rips. If you would just like back off on the loudness and add a little bit more room, a little bit more headroom, it would be even better. You know, I almost feel like in recording now, when bands are setting up to record, there's already compression on every track. You know, and I think I don't know. It seems like it is anyway. It sounds like it.
At some level, it's necessary, but
Sure.
it's overdoing it is the problem.
But starting off that way seems really interesting to me. Like I'm just maybe not.
When I, not to get all holier than thou, but when I was, I'm the main producer on the Sage album, Blinded, Sage, go check that out.
Go check it out.
Horrible album, it's amazing. It's
it's a 9 for me.
Yeah. We made a conscious effort from the beginning. We said we want it to sound huge and heavy, but we want space. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix everything really quietly, so when we turn the volume up, everything's going to sit in its own little world.
Yeah.
So when you play it, space sounds really good in the car. The car is the ideal setting, because like I look back and there are a few things I might tweak, but overall, considering we didn't have any like label backing or anything and we DIY'd it ourselves,
yeah,
I think we got a decent sounding album.
I agree.
Out of it, I'm not saying it stands up there with Dirt and Black Album, but I mean those albums had $1 million budgets, and we had this room. Well, we recorded the album in various small rooms around Cornwall.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think aside from the car, for me, a bit the big test for me, because of the way that I take in music most of the time, is in my office, which is not very big, through my bookshelf speakers, which are not huge fancy speakers, but they're pretty good. And I run it, and I have an amplifier that has no tone knobs, just a volume knob. So it's literally coming through the record player, which has a preamp, through the amplifier to the speakers. So I'm like, if you make an album that sounds good in here, then I'm just like, this fucking album sounds fucking amazing. Because it's like, there's no color. Because I am not a fan of listening to an album and making it sound slightly different by you tweaking some knobs. I love the ways albums sound. Even if they're not very good sounding, I put it on and I want to hear it as it sounds. And so I made a conscious effort when I threw together my vinyl system to be like, I want the most basic of fucking amplifier. I don't want to do anything except turn it up or down. And so some shit sounds fucking amazing. I'm telling you, like, it's so much so that I'm like, why does everybody need all that extra shit? Yeah. Like the other night I listened to Dangerous by Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Like, let's go listen to that album. Sonically speaking, fucking amazing sounding. And just through this little stereo system, I was just sitting in my room like, holy fuck, this is like, Teddy Riley and people like that worked on it. And I'm just like, they fucking nailed this shit. It sounds so amazing. But it's, once again, it's not being colored by anything aside from the gear that's playing it and pumping it out to the speakers or whatever. So, that's the big test for me, because I don't drive a lot of places anymore because I hate going places. So the car is not as big as it used to be.
Well, I need to pose a question to you. Is there a possibility that you can play like Bluetooth through that, or is it just vinyl right now?
It's through my amplifier.
Yeah.
It's not Bluetooth. It's just
okay.
It's hardwired to self-destruct.
I was going to say, yeah. if you can find if you can find a way to if you can find a way to play the Sage album through that, I want to know.
Yeah, no, unfortunately I can't.
I want to know. Give me a sign, girl.
Open your heart and tell me that you're mine. Oh, that's Living Color shit. You don't do Living Color album, guys. Anyway, I'm sorry. This is okay.
Sorry,
we're getting back on the road. You were talking about Obituary, which was your number 2. Are you done with that, or?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Album fucking rules.
So going to an album that is way better than I thought the first time I listened to it, but production wise has a lot to be desired. Cannibal Corpse, Chaos, Horrific from 2023 is my number 2.
Nice.
I don't like Eric Rutan's production. Do not like it. It's that thing you're talking about. Too much compression. It's gotten better, but and it's not awful. It's not a deal breaker, but I just it's just too. It's not great. But this was an album that when it came out, I listened to it and I was like, it's a Cannibal Corpse album. It's it's good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I listened to it again, like, I listened to it and I was, oh my God, this is like fucking great. So I was like, you know what, this weekend I'm gonna throw on the vinyl again and listen to it. So last night I did. The first half of the album, so much fucking killer shit. Like the whole album's good, but that first half, the fact that like they're still doing stuff that sounds very like Cannibal Corpse, and if you're not into this kind of music at all, it sounds like a bunch of fucking noise. I understand, but the amount of like them doing stuff that still has me go, oh fuck, like it still makes me do that. Not all the songs, obviously, but a good number of them where I was just like, this is way better than I remembered it being, and I feel that way about a lot of Cannibal Corpse stuff of the George Corpse Grinder Fisher era, where like I like it, but then sometimes I'll go back to certain albums and I'll be like, oh, I did not realize this was such a fucking banger, because in reality they all are. they really all are bangers, and so I really enjoy Chaos Horrific. and I saw somebody on my Facebook page say that they wish that the album title was Horrific Chaos, and I'm like, I don't like the connection of the two C's. I don't like Horrific Chaos. I don't like that. I like Chaos Horrific. That sounds bigger. Chaos Horrific. Whereas the other one's Horrific Chaos. It sounds like, what are you even saying? There's two. I don't like letters matching up like that.
It sounds more death metal to say Chaos Horrific.
Yeah. At the end of the day, not the best album title in the world anyway. But I feel like they've been doing it long enough now. Like, what the fuck are they going to call it? I wish they would just come out and just make the album title like fucked up. Anally raped with a chainsaw, and that's the name. That's the name of the album.
Stabbed to fucking death with a pool cue.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so So my
excellent dubstep album. I hate it.
I gave it a 9. Chaos Horrific is my number 2, which leads us to absolutely nobody's surprise. Our joint number 1 in this ranking is Metallica, 72 Seasons.
Fuck yeah.
Once again, it's been over a year since that album came out, 2023. Holy shit, man.
Mm-hmm. And, it's modern Metallica divides opinion because Metallica are at the top. They are the most successful heavy metal band of all time.
And they are the most popular punching bag in the metal world. So, yeah.
I mean, that's to be expected. You're at the top. There's people clawing at you, clawing it for your downfall. But you know what? Right? Having, this album a year on, I really fucking, nearly 2 years now.
Oh, shit, yeah? Oh, you're right. You're right, yeah. Because it's...
Jesus.
Because I think it was released in the beginning of 2023.
Yeah, it was. It says here, released April 14th, 2023.
April. Shit, man. Dude. I can't believe it's been that long. And I'm about to see them for a second time on this fucking tour.
Holy shit. Ultimately, I truly believe that this, if you were to ask me to say what the best sounding Metallica album since the Black Album is, I'm going to say this one. Either that or next to Load and Reload, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I would say, I'd say since Load and Reload, because those sound fucking amazing to me.
They sound great too, yeah. But it's just like, I think what this one has, the Hardwire didn't have, and Death Magnetic especially didn't have, was that spacious production that the production paired with Hetfield's vocals on this being some of the best, in my opinion, he's done in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, he's hitting some high notes on this release, and vocally he sounds stronger than he has in a long time.
Yeah.
And it to be this late in the game, doing stuff this good, like I said with Judas Priest. I mean, all the guys now are in their 60s. And they're coming out here doing these 72 season shows. I mean, the one that stuck in my mind as, oh yeah, they're fucking back, was that Munich show where the lightning was going off.
Oh yeah.
And James has been hitting the gym. He's taking care of himself. He looks fucking good. And he's just there, like, lapping it up. And then right behind him, just like this bolt. And you hear over the loud music, you hear, whoa!
Yeah.
And like the whole crowd is like, oh, dude.
Yeah. When I saw them on, I saw one of those 2-day shows they did, 2 different dates with 2 different set lists, and I was like blown away by how fucking great they were. Like I am already a huge fan. They could have put on a mediocre show and I would have had a blast. But I was like, man, they just really still fucking have it in so many ways. But
Yeah, yeah. It's great.
My
It's
my biggest gripe about this album is, well, number one, I think that, well, I'll get to the second one in a minute. The first one is we did an entire episode where we reviewed this album, and I talked about this then, I think.
yeah,
I don't like Kirk Hammett's solos on this album. Not that they're bad. They're just very like shit I've already heard him do, and I can almost predict what the solo is going to sound like. And I'm like, I like his bluesy kind of solo stuff that he does, and I don't want him to stop doing that. But it seems like he's got two modes now, which is the bluesy kind of thing, or he's just making some fucking noise. And there's there's no in between. There's no journey like the fucking, solo of like Struggle Within or Unforgiven. Like those solos where it's just like fucking Blackened. Like those where it's like a fucking journey. And I still admire him and I still like hearing him play, but I feel like he's not. But that leads me to my second critique. And this is coming from a fucking massive fan. I love everything all the way to Saint Anger and Lulu. I love all of it. But when they get to the point where they decide they're going to do another album, please work with an actual producer. Because the guy they have now, I'm pretty sure their relationship is he's an engineer that knows them well and they trust him. He's very good at what he does. But they need a Bob Rock, somebody to step in and say, hey, that song doesn't need to be that long, or you don't need to repeat this thing that many times, or hey, this song, maybe don't put it out. Maybe put it out on a B-side or something. Because I feel like their last two albums, for sure, because I'm a Death Magnetic stan. From all of its flaws, especially production-wise, I fucking love it. But Hardwired and this album both seem to me like they needed a producer to pull it in and kind of mold it into the best possible thing that it could be. Because while I love it, and it was my 72 Seasons was my favorite album of 2023, and I fucking love it. But I have those critiques where I'm just like, I feel like certain things could have been better. Some of the songs need to be shorter. A couple of them didn't even need to be on there, and it would have been cool to do like a single later on or something. And then I think that they should have pushed Kirk Hammett to be more adventurous in solos. And I think that's because they're kind of left to their own devices because they are the biggest fucking metal band in the world. And so I think they're set up. Same thing with like Iron Maiden. I think Iron Maiden just have a guy that tweaks the knobs and nobody comes in and says, why are you doing that? Why do you need to do that? Because it would make a better album if you did this. So I want them to have a producer, even if it's not Bob Rock, because I don't, whatever. Oh shit, what happened?
Sorry, holy shit.
Microphone mishap.
Sorry, I went to go type in the Black Album to compare the length. So keep going. Sorry.
Okay, but anyway, I would like for them to work with somebody that maybe like knows their stuff, knows what they're capable of, and is able to like, and they're able to take on some criticism, because I think an outside perspective sometimes is what made some of their stuff so good. Obviously there's got to be a large amount of them because they're, pretty brilliant at what they do. But I really think the things that I don't like could have been improved by somebody who had a producer role, Oh shit. Now I'm fucking knocking shit.
Well, ultimately, I think I do agree. I think there is an element of they are the biggest metal band in the world. I do think that some self-editing would go a long way. I mean, I know they've done long songs in the past, but I really do think you could probably shave about a minute off of each of these songs and end
I mean,
up with a tighter album.
what's that? What's the one song that starts where the intro is and it goes on for like what feels like 2 minutes.
If Darkness Had a Sun, that song could be 2 minutes shorter.
Which I like that song, but
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that long intro was not necessary at all. Like if you want to, maybe like have that. We like that intro. Well, then do that live. That might be kind of cool leading into the song. But on an album where it's already long, it's not necessary.
One thing I do remember being quite funny, and this doesn't fall into the realms of Lars hate. This just falls into the realms.
You better be careful. I'm gonna fucking block you on all platforms.
Hear me out. I do remember. Do you remember on TikTok they were doing this thing where Lars released his part?
Yep.
Rob released his part alongside, and then they individually like kind of built up, and it's like, oh shit, new song coming.
Yeah.
But the very first thing that was released was just Lars going da 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 da, and everybody was like, homie really just posted his triplet exercise.
Yeah, and then you had Rob, which Rob is just playing like an E chord or something. It's like and I get it because like Rob's an amazing bass player, and I do feel like he is a little bit underused in Metallica.
I agree. He is underused. They should have him do more adventurous.
But they did.
I mean,
parts. And this album, like he wrote some stuff and he did some intros, and I think that he, I would like them to encourage that. Maybe that's what the producer they bring in can do on the next album, where they can be like, hey, Rob, how about we really like make you a star of the show, at least on a couple songs, So I don't know. It's just I'm that I love this band and this album when I do have that amount of thoughts in my head about an album, even if it's criticisms, because I'm just like, yeah, I love this band and I think this album is incredible, but I think it could have been even better. But I still really like it. I know they got, some people weren't a fan, but I fucking love the artwork on this album. I love the design of the vinyl. I love the cover. I love the colors. It's just that's the one thing, is that like they have had unique artwork on everything that they've done. Obviously, Load and Reload look similar, but they go together. But that's the one thing, is that like I really like seeing what they come up with for an album cover concept, because, even though like I'm not in love with Hardwired to Self-Destruct, it has a quality of it where I go, oh, it's that album, the combination of faces, album.
I do feel as well, and please humor me on this. Have you ever seen the startling comparisons to that Crowbar album cover?
So no, I'm gonna call bullshit there, because I don't think that they were inspired by that at all. Plus, that Crowbar album cover is one of the worst album covers in the history of album covers, in my opinion. It looks fucking awful, and it
doesn't look great.
It looks like 4 different dudes who are taking a shit.
Yeah,
they're all connected to each other.
Yeah. But my only thing is the guy on the left is sticking his tongue out, and Kirk is sticking his tongue out.
Somebody is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Kirk.
I'm not that big of a fan. I don't know what their individual tongues look like.
Well, it's more. I mean, it's hard to pick out anyway. But
I just assumed it was Lars, because he's the one that's always sticking his tongue out.
Well, Lars is at the top. Lars is at the top. He's kind of like,
Oh, okay.
James is at the front, and Rob is to the right. So
the vinyl version has got Rob in the front.
They did do different versions. What is it? Hard?
3 different. The CD one is different than the online one, and the vinyl one is different.
Oh, I need to look at this shit, because I love shit like that.
And then on the box set that I have, each record has the different covers.
Oh, dude. Damn.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
See, they do good work. They're I will die on the hill if they are overhated, especially Lars. But because there are other drummers that aren't very good, and they're in good bands. I don't fucking know. I just I don't know. I've grown to love what Lars does so much that I don't fucking care. I don't want there to be another drummer. Everyone likes to post that video of when what was his name, Jordy from Slipknot.
Yeah, Joey Jordison.
Where his name Joey, or what is his name?
Wait, the new guy or the old guy?
No, the old guy.
Yeah, Joey Jordison.
Joey. They post that video where he like sits in on songs with Metallica, and they're like, "This is what they should sound like." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's not what they should sound like. It's and just that's gonna get you blocked."
I'll grant you, it's cool to hear a different drummer and to hear what that dynamic sounds like, but I mean, Lars is people don't credit Lars for the arrangement side of things as well.
Yeah,
you know, he's a integral piece of the puzzle when it comes to the songwriting process. There's all sorts of elements people don't take into account.
I just don't think that. Oh, there's my dogs. I just don't think that that a lot of the songs would stand out the way that they do if you had like fucking Mike Portnoy or somebody on drums. You know, I just don't think that it would be the same.
It's like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that technical proficiency, you know, Mike Portnoy would eat Lars for breakfast. However, Lars is the guy in Metallica that helped arrange and create some of the genre's most iconic songs
and hold the band together, really.
Yeah.
And on top of that, your drummers like Mike Portnoy are the first to point out that they think Lars is great and they understand what's great. So it's like, that's why I'm saying most of the time the people running their mouths out there are the people that quote unquote have not done the work.
Groupthink.
Yeah, it's groupthink, but also it's just a bunch of people that because the internet makes it so easy to like just say whatever you want. Everyone thinks they need to have a hot take or an opinion when most of them are people that music is not even really that important to them. The most important thing to them is football or video games or something else, which is fine, but just get out of my arena. Get the fuck out. All right, good night, everybody. On that note,
fuck out of here.
On that note, you know. All right, so I love having that on there because I hate doing that part so much because I'm just like, oh, okay, we did it. We did it. I love it more when Ja Rule does it.
Nice.
If we were like a really, really popular, you know, like big, everybody knows our podcast, I would reach out to Ja Rule and be like, hey, can you like record a special? Yeah, we did it. And I guarantee he's like, what fucking song is that? When did I do that song? It would be great to have our own Ja Rule. Yeah, we did it that we can play.
Nice.
Anyway, that's the end of Old Friends, New Shit.
Yeah.
And but this has been a big conversation, a lot of tangents, a lot of emotions today on today's episode.
Absolutely.
And are we coming back with the Beatles next week? Is that the plan? The Beatles?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Speaking of overhated drummers, Ringo, who I have a lot to say about Ringo because I'm a fan of what he did in that band.
Cool.
But the Beatles will be next week. We are going to be tackling arguably the biggest band in rock and roll. It's
hard to argue biggest band of all time. I mean, holy shit.
Maybe I'm not gonna say best because I don't like using that word, but definitely one of the most important. If you said the most important, I wouldn't argue with you. But not as important as Caveman number 3 and their famous hit from back in 9 million BC.
Yeah,
Did I go back too far in time?
no, actually,
Put on the brakes. We went 3 million years too far.
all these stoner doom bands, bunch of posers, man. You want to go? You want some real shit? Head back to the literal Stone Age. We're talking loincloth, Beartooth, with their single. Much better representation of the early drum and bass scene. Fantastic song. I hate it.
I give it a 9.
Yeah. Yeah. Solid 9.74392.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was almost there. Anyway, okay, so
Out of the square root of pi.
That's the end of this episode. Oh, the one thing, since we've started like having our little meetings on the show and everybody because we mentioned this earlier, and I don't think it's legitimately on the schedule, but I would like to put it on there.
Okay.
I want to set a place for Kiss Cranked and Revisited.
Dude, I'm happy to do that.
So where in there would you? Let's get through some of these other stuff because we haven't done a slash and mash yet, and I'm looking forward to that. So somewhere after that, in between some of those other bands that are there, I would like to do Kiss Cranked and Revisited because you've said that you've become a much bigger fan, and
yes.
I have only grown to be an even bigger fan than I already was. Yeah. And so I just like talking about Kiss.
Yeah, me too. Hell, there's a reason there's like a shitload of Kiss podcasts is because they're just incredibly entertaining to talk about.
Yeah, and so somewhere in there, wherever you like, throw in Kiss, Cranked and Reloaded. That's what it is.
Cranked and Reloaded. Or Revisited?
No.
Is it?
Cranked and Revisited.
Cranked, reloaded, fired, reloaded, fired again.
Yeah. Well, I like, Cranked and Reloaded. Where did that come from? Cranked and Reloaded. Cranked and Re-ranked. No, that's Cranked and Re-ranked. That's like, that sounds weird. Cranked and Revisited. Yeah. I love that you had it right the first time. Anyway,
Cranked and Revisited.
So looking forward to that. We've got the Beatles coming up. We've got some, going back to Kiss, but we also have some other bands we've never talked about before. A whole bunch of those. Some years we've never talked about. Some slashed and mashed that we are. It's funny. I saw this post by, I don't know if it was Metal Injection or Metal Sucks or one of those pages, and they're like, let's play this game where you take a classic album and you have to remove one track from it. And I'm like, where did they get that idea from? Was that something that was happening before we did it? Because I feel like maybe.
Well, let me put it to you that idea was formulated while on the toilet at my old job, so it was an original thought.
Yeah, man.
My most original thinking occurs during the dropping of a deuce. So
that's it. That's true. There is some good thought that happens. It's something opens up in your brain, and we should just do the fucking show on the toilet. Really, like that would be. Can you imagine how much better it would be?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a commode fitted right here, and I'm just gonna take huge mud pies the whole way. My ass is gonna have its own mic and everything.
Luckily, that won't happen, guys. So, anyway, so yeah, that's
speak for yourself.
So this has been Old Friends, New Shit. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening in the podcast world. Thanks for watching in the YouTube world. Peanut butter platypuses and aluminium squirrels and Belvedere ball sitters and Christmas dogs and the other one that I forgot. You're all important. You're all different and unique, and we love you all. Thank you for listening and watching. And as usual, I'm going to throw it over. I don't know why I got all quiet. I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Okay, cool. Right, you're right, Eddie. Don't do what Elon did and Sieg Heil on TV. Okay.
I'm not worried about that. I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't.
Yeah. So later, dude.
You guys didn't say he almost. That's the hand went for the heart. Almost.
Stop! What are you doing?
Damn, it was such a good episode till you guys had to get political.
Why would you mention politics in a punk episode? Annoying Brit.
Since it's the end of the episode, I can go on record and say that whether or not that was a Sieg Heil, dude is trash. Dude is trash.
And
So-
before anybody says he got caught in the moment, he did it twice. He did it twice.
This shit has gotten so fucking stupid over here. Like we're actively talking about where we're going to move because this country is so fucking stupid, and it's part of it's frightening and part of it's hilarious, and that's a weird place to be. So
Tune in next week for our ranking of 1940s German march music.
Jesus Christ, we're gonna rank the paintings of Adolf Hitler.
Oh God! Oh no!
He was quite an artist. Anyway,
Can you imagine that popping up in someone's feed? Cranked and ranked Hitler's paintings.
yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
I like this picture of the house. Shame what he did though.
yeah. No, we got to separate the art from the artist. We just have to. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
I
I'm
like
sorry
what he did with the blue here.
for those of you who hate this kind of shit. I'm sorry we ruined the episode, but thank you for being here. Let's do this again. All right. Let's bring us back in. I'm going to get quiet again, like I did before, and I'm going to throw it over to Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Later, dude.